We were trying to solve the issues. Please excuse us for the huge delay, but you know, we don't know what was going on with the YouTube channel, and somehow it was however we were like creating new links for the stream. When you click on it, it take you to the old one. So well, we don't know. And David, who is the master of these things, was confused, and I was like a monkey in the brain of Homer Simpson doing like this, you know, basically. So we are very sorry for that. So hi everybody, Eric Swinson, Mr. Eric Swinson. Congratulations to Eric Swinson. Everybody, please clap. Eric Swinson, the last best of show. Best of show, Nova Open 2019, Eric Swinson. So, congratulations, bro. It was a fantastic piece. Anyway, hi, Adrian Wittenberg, another of the premium improvement or the journey. Well, another private coaching member. Sacrament of Carnage, always here. Hi, Rosa, Kingslord, Manel, someone else. Evan Smith, hi. Orechel, hi. Matt Minis, hi everybody. Well, we are not so many, but let's go fast as we can, because we have to catch up the Spanish members, because we are already on the number 12, and we have to start with the number 6 if I don't remember. But I guess that you have not seen this video yet, but well, if you find this something boring or that you want to go faster, just tell me, because I can advance more, right? So let's go. Let me use my earphones. Well, here we're going the central part of the cloak. Well, this like tabard with a kind of green, blue, gray. Everything you will see that is very desaturated when we analyze it tone by tone, but the general impact, it will be very colorful, because how the colors react to each other. And that's something interesting that maybe we can maybe while it's while the video it's still being played, maybe I can make a small correction on Photoshop so that you can see also how I do my corrections. Well, the key of this is that when we are working with tones, I don't know, probably it doesn't work both at once. Yeah. Okay, so we have this main tone, or this main progression of tones, right? With the brightest blue-gray around here. It's a kind of gray jade color, something like, let me catch one. Something like this. How you see all those tones that appears, those are microtones that has been applied by several layers of diluted paint. Well, I cannot catch it by myself, so I'm gonna, let's say that I'm working with this, for instance, right? So if you check the color square while I'm painting the video, I don't know if this is confusing, I'm sorry, but that's the best way I can do it, and I feel that this is interesting to explain. Check where are the colors. They're pretty close to each other, and all of them have like a medium desaturation. None of them are vibrant colors. So let's say that, imagine that the red could be something like this, for instance, you know, which is not the case. Imagine something like this that could be much more vibrant, right? You see? Well, the point and the reason why when you see the final image, it will look attractive enough and it will look, let's say, colorful enough. Let me find the final work. That one. It's here. You see that the impact is strong is because it has two main things that most of the times we are forgetting, which is the amount of contrast and the kind of contrast. One thing is the amount of contrast, another thing is the kind of contrast, which is a different thing. Amount of contrast will be the levels of contrast, but then what kind of contrast we are using, there are many different contrasts in terms of painting, you know, it can be textures against no textures, for example, color combination, like in this case, is a complementary color game, green and red, but obviously those green is a very bluish and dark and desaturated green, and the red is a bluish because it's a cherry color, you know, it's kind of garnet, cherry color, magenta feeling pinks, all those tones that belongs to the red family. If you have not seen the red family videos, there are 3 videos explaining it very deeply. I really suggest you to go and watch them because they are sincerely fantastic videos, or at least some of the videos that we are more proud of. You will see that all those members of the red family in this case are very desaturated, weak reds, and very cold colors. So we have the blue-green tabard, this main central part, and the rest of the fabric, which is reddish. But both are like complementary colors that are in opposition one to the other, but they are close to each other by temperature and by desaturation, both of them, right? But the contrast is enough. It has so many different levels of tones that brings this contrast of the volume that is enough to create the illusion of definition, which at the end is the main goal that a painter should search for, you know, definition. It's not a matter, now I'm trying with different focus, now check the video, and this is also to see how the colors works under different light conditions, because not all the time you have the same light conditions when you watch miniatures, and this is very important, especially if you're going to go to a contest. This is for you, Eric Swinson, that you are coming to a future contest. Don't reveal the secret if it's a secret. Anyway, and if it's a secret, it's not a secret anymore. I'm very sorry. You know. So the importance of the contrast, that is something that most of the time we lose. You know, like for example, now I'm inventing some. Can you see that I'm inventing some wrinkles on the main element of the bluish or greenish or dark sea blue green fabric? This wrinkle was not there, but I painted it myself because it was an empty area that I need something else to make a contrast. Again, returning to the same goal, which is creating contrast to create definition. Definition is the word. Cleaning, blending, softness is not the word. The word is definition. You can have something super dirty but defined enough. You can have something that has no blendings but is defined enough. You want some proofs? I can show you some proofs. Like for example, one of my Anonymous, I think is the first one. You can check, this is one of my, for me, one of my favorite Anonymous versions. Most of you know me, you know I've done like more than 50 versions of the same bust, and this is not smooth. This is not well blended. Some parts they are, some others, you know, they are not. You can see many different tonalities. You can see brush strokes. You can see even like proper cuts or drawings. You know, very defined. Very obvious that there is not a perfect blending here. I'm not searching for a perfect blending. I'm not searching for virtuose work, you know. But when you see it from far, the impact is really good and the definition is really good, and that is the key. You know, sometimes you can leave the mark of the brushstroke without any problems and keep definition. Indeed, this is more defined even than the Invocatio, the process we are watching now. That is much more work. Just to give you an example, this Invocatio from scale 75 took me about maybe 5 days to accomplish the full process, 5 days of 8 hours a day, so that means around, yeah, like about 30-35 hours, something like this. But while the anonymous bus that I have shown you, it took me 90 minutes. So at the end, you have to find a way to keep this definition. And this definition always depends on some other factors like the background, some other factors like the main view. That's why I'm always, like now, I'm always checking if the main view is looking right or not. And I'm not so much focused on the other side of the miniature, because indeed they don't matter. They don't matter at all for the moment, you know. And nowadays, even more in the social media world and moment we are living now, where you can mainly paint just the frontal part of the figure, and that's it. That's more than enough. Anyway, so but for a box art is the same concept. That obviously you can put attention on these other parts of the figure, and that will be even better, obviously. But I am concentrating all the time in the main view that I have decided. I already spoke about this in the previous streams. One question, guys, is this stream to do a stream or to do a streaming? I don't know about that. If you can clarify my doubt, I'll be very, very grateful for this. I'm gonna check some questions. No questions. Congratulations, Eric. Eric, congratulations. Hey, guys, this is my stream, okay? Not Eric's one. That's a joke. We are all very happy with Eric. Eric is our pride. Hey, Paul Stockley. Hi, guy. How are you? Another ex-private coaching student. How are you doing? Finally, I thought that you finally did the banner in the skirt of that girl from Chimera Models, right? And that was fantastic. A really good model. So congratulations to you as well, because that was a fantastic paint job. Really good. Well, now I'm trying I'm painting this bag. This bag was changed afterwards because I was not so happy with the color. And in this case, I thought that a dirty green gray would work, but then I changed it. And sometimes this is another proof that sometimes when you have doubts, you have to check it first, you know, to see if that makes sense or not. But for this, in order to realize, to visualize, you have to play it, right? Then let's move to small details like here. Chain is important. It's an important element to highlight in a very short execution. Let's say you don't need to refine it a lot. You just need some dots, some sparks that will represent the chain glittering, you know. And this is important because it's in the middle of nowhere, you know. You have a very empty area with no detail, and unless you're going to make a freehand or something like this, imagine that you're going to make a freehand in this central part of the cloak, then it would be good to relax and not bring so many glittering on the chain, but because it's a flat area, then this glittering will help. So it depends on your main decision. Where will you go, you know, if you will detail it more or you will detail it less, you know. So there is not one way to do it. That's what I want to say. Well, let's move to the golden ribbon. Can I say ribbon for this? I am applying some kind of like bubonic brown or something similar, some kind of like yellowish ochre to it in a diluted version. So this will be some kind of, is a patching technique. For everybody who asks me about the differences between glazing, patching, and so on, that is a patching technique where I am leaving the glaze on a specific area, you know, concentrating the patches of the pigment in that spot, right? We have done a poll in the Patreon. You can check the Patreon that very recently, like a couple of posts ago, we asked about what were the main concepts that were more difficult to understand for you when I was speaking in the videos, because we want to make like a glossary or something like this of different terms. So if you don't mind, and you can check that poll and write your, well, poll is like a question, an open question, and you can write down your comments of which questions or which words are confusing for you. I will try to speak with some of my English students. Maybe Eric can help me with that, because he's also a teacher, and we can clarify those terms so we can be more specific when we explain. Because most of the times when I say something, I'm doing a direct translation from Spanish, and you must understand that in my own language that makes perfect sense. But sometimes when we make this translation from Spanish to English, we used to use some fake false friends, as they are called, which are words that look similar, but maybe the meaning is completely different. Let's move to the painting again. As you can see, I have painted this, can you see the mouse pointer? Yeah. The edge is paint, and that is very important, because most of the times you guys don't paint the edges in the shadow area. Please check now how this look, okay? All this area look, because now the color is just placed and that's it, but there is no general definition. But we will bring this general definition to a very defined level in the next steps very quickly, and you will see how something that looks completely dirty and undefined will start looking defined without being less dirty. You know what I mean? Just by applying lights to the right edges and applying colors to the right edges. So let's move on. Well, now basically I'm concentrating this ochre color not only in the main areas of light coinciding with the main path of light of the wrinkles, you know, instead of also extending it down towards the edge of the element, because it's important to define these two elements. And at some point is a key on the painting, on any painting, to start resolving some of the elements in order to have a visual reference that will affect the other colors as well, and will tell me until which point I have to evolve or I have to advance. Let's say, for example, the blue-green tabard, for example, because I don't have any other reference. I need to not finish, but, you know, advance more small details at least, and the ribbon is an important part for that, because it's so small that we can resolve it very quickly, and it will give me a very good information. Back at this time, I was very, I'll say, slow, clumsy, not so confident on myself, so my brushstrokes were more like tick, 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 without confidence. Now I will do it in one, probably, and I will do it with no dilution, or with much less dilution. In this case, I was more or less like trying all the time, you know, like pushing the color. As you see, when I apply the color is more vibrant. When the color dries, the color goes down, you know, and reduce the impact, right? So by applying several brush strokes and waiting a little bit, I could see how far I could go. As soon as I apply the color, I see if the yellowish tertiary color worked well, and then I would insist later on, right? Some people were asking me, especially Jamie Hapter, one of my the Journey Pledge student, he was asking me that sometimes he didn't understood the concept of tertiary color. A tertiary color is a color that has two main elements. The first one is that is created by the three primaries, yellow, blue, red. The second, and most of the times, especially in the pots, it comes with a little bit of white or black as well to make it darker or brighter, right? And also it's a desaturated color by mixing. What does it mean? That is a color that even if it's remind a yellow, like this one, you know, this reminds yellow, right? This looks yellowish. Do you agree with that? Guys, some collaboration. But if we check the real color, which is not that one, because that one is a try from is an exercise I did for from the last streaming in Spanish. Let's return to this, and I'm gonna pick a screenshot. I move to, yeah. So you see that, and the ribbon is, we could call it yellowish, right? But if we pick the color, and this is something about color perception that we can maybe make a video about this, so if you find this interesting, please leave it on the comment box, because we always collect your ideas, and at some point we will do them if we still have your support, obviously, and you like what we are doing. Check how something that looks so yellowish like this, in comparison with the other colors, then when we apply it, how it looks. It looks greenish, it looks dark, and it looks completely a tertiary color. It looks completely far away, and now please watch in the lower right side this beautiful color area, right? Is far away from this, in a sense, you know, it's less yellowish. Let's say that this one looks more greenish, this one looks more yellowish. It's far away from this, that clearly looks much more yellow on top of this, and is so far away from a real pure yellow, right? So what will happen if we add something just slightly more saturated, which means with a more amount of yellow but still a tertiary color? If we apply this, check how strong will be the contrast. So most of the times when we see some some non-metallic, some amazing effects by the artists that you follow and you like, let's say, I don't know, Kirill Kanaev, and sometimes when we are seeing and we say, okay, he has applied here yellow, that was not yellow, that looks yellow but is not yellow, is an ochre, for instance, because we keep the yellow for the last. Check, that's the yellow, right? And that will be my last spot for a super golden ribbon, for example, right? What's the good thing about that? That we still have a long way until white, or a mid-tone like a creamy vanilla, for example, that if I place it on top, it gives me another spot of light. I don't know if this is clear or not, but guys, this is how we do a non-metallic. Easy, 1, 2, 3, done. You don't need to know anything else. You can be a master straight away. You know, I think this formula works, you know, for some people. So maybe we can do the same. So returning to a serious process, this slow construction of the volumes is a very measured way to work, because here I'm using glazes or patches, you know, which is a technique that you will see a lot in Marmas Clans painting, for example, which Marmas Clans is coming this month for the Patreon. So we are very happy to host him another time. And this time he has painted an amazing version of Fair Miniatures, is a guerrilla girl or something like this from the Spanish Civil War. But he has turned this into a normal female of nowadays, you know, just with a small conversion, I will say. And the process is really amazing. So if you want to learn a lot about how to paint different textures like jean, wool, you know, different textures of different materials, and also how to interpret the face of a girl, that's an amazing process. You must watch. I know that Mark speaks much slower than me, you know, but you know that you can turn on the speed up in YouTube. Do that, and you will find a fantastic trip to the mindset of the great master Marmas Clans. Anyway, what else? Eric Swinson says, streaming, as comer, comiendo. Thanks. So we do a stream, but we are streaming. I am bilingual now. Kingslord, yes, a color perception video will be really interesting and appreciated. Yeah, but I need participation of the English students. So I know that you want it, and maybe I will do one for you because you insist. But I also want the collaboration of the English participants. Guys, we need to create a community. We are already, in this month, we, ¿cómo se dice cumplir? ¿Puedo decir cumplir años?
Si puedes decirlo.
Sí, ¿cómo se dice cumplir un año? ¿Hay una traducción literal? Well, this month we are already 1 year old, so please clap to ourselves. Thank you for being there for a year. It's been a fantastic experience. Let's see how far we can go with this academy. And thank you very much because it's been very interesting, a very interesting experience. So we are going to continue evolving and improving and bringing you different ways to learn and different concepts, different kinds of tutorial. As you have seen, we have created many different branches of learning and, or teaching. And well, we are very interested in knowing your opinion because obviously this is what helps us the most to improve. Now you see that I am applying a more creamy color. It's a kind of custard color. Can I say custard color? This kind of vanilla cream that English people eat, custard. For us is natillas. Which is a creamy color that makes the effect of the highest light. But if it was me right now in 2019, I wouldn't go for this color because this color is too desaturated. And to me, it's too desaturated, too much desaturated because everything else is desaturated as well. The red turns into salmon and pink, desaturated. The green will turn into a kind of like gray jade color, desaturated. The face is already desaturated, everything is desaturated. So it's a little bit, I would say boring, but somehow lack of strength. It's not bad, not at all, but you know, there will be different options with a more saturated color. As you see how I apply the patches of colors with the tip of the brush, you know, leaving the dot, leaving the drop of pigment where I want to apply the light. And now I am rescuing some of the words or runes that are drawn in the ribbon by the sculptor, obviously Raúl Latorre. That was part of the design. You know, he will have some runes because it was interesting to bring some detail. And as you see, I'm rescuing one line from each rune to be able to see that there is some information even if it's a shadow area, right? Whereas in the light area, I will concentrate the light to a point that you cannot see the detail because where the light flash, the color fades, or let's say the detail fades out, if that makes sense. That makes sense, guys? Is this useful for you? Evan Smith would love to see a video just on color perception. I will do a video for you, bro, because you say it. So yeah, I will do something like this. We're in this during this month and the next month. We have something already prepared, more about color mixing and so on. Some videos that will be very interesting. Also the end of the Thor Mighty Thor process that I think is a fantastic process sincerely, where you can learn a lot of things. But yeah, we will do something about color composition as well, and color perception. We have to do something like this. In this, I'm going to take notes of that because I have like a huge list of topics that I want to speak about. Where's my pen? ¿Me dais un boli? Azul, por favor. Gracias. ¿Qué stream es este? ¿Qué número? El 5. So, sorry. You will see that I am like slowly building up the feeling of the different light spots by many layers of the same patch, you know, and I am refining the shape as well. You can do this in one brush stroke. You don't need so many layers. But back at this time, I was much less self-confident, you know. So if this is your case, you can arrive to the same point just by insisting, you know. If you feel confident enough with your skills, you can do it in one, and that will save your time, and it will be faster and more effective because then it's only one layer, and then you can remove it easily than building up slowly. So it depends, you know, what you want to do. If you want to be more relaxed in your process or you want to go straight to the point, that's up to you. For some people, like for example was the case of, let's say, Paul Stockley or Eric Swinson, some of you guys that you have already a very high level, you know, it will be good if you go faster and you force your failure, because you are a little bit, at least from my perspective, you're a little bit comfortable on your technique, you know. So to put your one foot away from your comfort zone, it will be good if you apply things much harder, much directly, and definitely with not so much the dilution, you know. Dilution is something good for controlling, but is something bad for the color and for the vibrancy of the colors, you know. And also, in order to create a better brushstroke, if you see, you know, here my brushstroke is very shy, while for example if you watch the video of the goblin that I paint on the stream of scale 75, indeed I suggest you to watch this video because it's a completely different thing. TV Goblin, maybe. Well, no. Me puedes buscar el. Well, David is going to bring the link so you can check it. Please watch this video because the application of the paint is completely different, and also the brushstroke you will see is completely different. So when people ask me how to develop the brushstroke, well, then you have to take some risk, because here the brushstroke is like super controlled, too much, in my opinion, and that means that it takes ages. Indeed, when I see myself, I feel boring.
¿Cuál quieres?
El del Goblin.
El de streaming.
Yeah. You see, it's a kind of mix of a stippling method with some kind of cross-hatching brush flow, right? And as you see now, when I am highlighting the edge of the ribbon, the yellowish ribbon, it makes a lot of definition, especially in comparison with the dark. You can see here the dark area. You know, that is to frame. That's on purpose, painted on purpose. Is a kind of like super dark green gray, almost black, that will make a super interesting contrast with that also contrasts itself with the red, and will also contrast with the hand. So all the elements are well defined without being clean. As you see, I am not making long traces of the brush. And when I say what is a trace, because that was another doubt, tracing means move, you know, a trace. This is a trace of a pencil, of a brush, you know, is the movement. It's similar to a brushstroke, but what I want to say is the actual act of moving the brush towards a certain surface, which in this case is the edge, and I leave the lateral side of the brush, and is the edge itself which paint, you know, or which I follow, you know. So I have to support the brush and just let it go, let it flow, you know, towards the surface. And this definition is very helpful. However, it's not clean yet, as you can see. It's not completely clean, but it's well defined. Let's move to the next one. That was giving me some troubles as well previously. I'm very sorry, guys. I know. Are there any questions already? Is everything clear? Well, check how well defined it is, even from a dark area. You know, you can see all those elements that are still not painted, that brings no definition at all. But you know, those little glitterings, sparks on the edge, brings me the idea of the shape of this. ¿Cómo se dice manga?
Sleeve.
Sleeve. Gracias. of the sleeve of the fabric, right? I'm checking your questions. Dave Simanik, hi, congrats guys, it was great to follow along for the past year. I'm looking forward to everything coming next. Thank you very much, bro. We are going to make the best of ourselves to bring the best contest, the best content, and also the best contents, because you know, stay tuned, because in the next months we are going to announce something very interesting for the Patreon members. Paul Stockley, will you be doing another series of video on a specific color? What do you think? Sacrament of Carnage, can we have a Banshee cooking video? Man, I am really good at cooking. You can be sure that if I cook my famous Spanish omelette for you, you will be mine forever. So don't challenge me. It could be good. I can cook for all of you naked. That could be amazing. Some questions about the process. I don't know if you're feeling this something interesting or not. If I can go forward faster, just tell me. So, some questions. Well, check how many times I bring the, let's say like the 3 steps of the color, where I start with a kind of brown. On top of a darker brown, I create a kind of like orangey brown, which is this. You can see. Then I will apply a kind of bubonic brown or something similar, or a Japanese uniform, or well, any color that is a yellowish ochre, like a neutral ochre, because ochre can be greenish, can be reddish, or can be, say, can be greenish, can be orangey, and can be purely yellow, you know. So this bubonic brown, it will be like the best representation of a neutral ochre, right? Which is a tertiary, I don't know if it's tertiary or tertiary.
Tertiary.
Tertiary. So it's a tertiary, it's the representation of an obvious tertiary yellow, right? While it can be more greenish or more orangey depending on your needs. And in this case, the first layer I was using for covering the brown, it was orangey. And then the next one was more yellowish, but it could be even more greenish as well. So we're moving to one part of the color wheel to the next one, you know. And this is also interesting because this creates more contrast than if you do it linearly. Do you want me to explain this quickly? Well, I don't wait. I want to explain this. This is a little bit about tertiary colors. So, guys, if you like this content, please suggest this to your friends. We don't have so many English followers, so if you can help us to grow, that would be fantastic. You know, imagine that we start with something like this, which looks black but is not black. It's a kind of like dark gray, dark brown. It could be something like this, which is more obviously brown. You know, something like this. Then on top of that, we can move to this, or we can move to something slightly more orangey, like this, for example. And then we can move to this, that indeed you perceive something like around here, but at the end is something like this, but applied in layers. But obviously, because we applied in layers, the resultant color will be something more like this. Makes sense? Because of the result of the different layering, layering method, right? So we can apply something more yellowish, and then we can go up on yellow, or we can move even to green, for example, and this will be a light, a perfect light for that. Imagine that they wanted to create something more, for something colder. You see? I could apply something like this, and this would be my progression. And obviously, then when I mix it perfectly, see how strong is that contrast, you know. And the last color, I swear, most of you will say this is yellow. Some of the more advanced students will say it's a cold yellow. Some people will say it might be a green. This case is a green, you see? It's not an obvious green, obviously. It's a kind of camo green. You see? Something like that. So that's something that you have to keep in mind, that colors are not what we think, you know, sometimes. perception of the colors change depending on so many factors. Some of the factors are the colors that are surrounding. Some other factors would be even your mood when you see something, or the environmental feeling or ambience will affect as well, and obviously all the colors that are close to each other, and also how you apply these colors. Because if I apply this green on top of a, let's say, orangey ochre, or even more if it's a reddish brown, then the result will be more grayish if I apply this by filtering or by glazes, you know, with a high dilution. While if I apply this greenish tone, this greenish ochre, in a thick version of the color, then the resultant impact will be much more powerful. So what does it mean? And this is something that I insist in so many videos, you know, which is, one thing is the color you pick, another thing is how you apply this color. And that's why it's so important to get rid of this bullshit that has been told by years, that for doing this you have to apply this color plus this color. Okay, so what does it mean? This color in which percentage, in which dilution, how do I apply it, how is the brushstroke movement? So many factors that, you know, if you are a painter, if you are a real painter, you know what I'm talking about, you know. If you are a student that you really want to learn the basis of this art, and you want to learn how to really improve your understanding of the painting, then you have to take into account all those details, because these details matters always, you know. By the way, I will be doing, I don't know if some of you are from the US, but next year I will be in Adepticon giving like many classes, like, I don't know, like 10 classes. And then I will be also in Virginia Beach with David Phillips, who is the organizer, and Eric Strinson, who is also a friend that lives around there, you know. So I will be there. If you want to join us, we will be doing a fantastic weekend course, and is a great opportunity to see us in person, and also to learn more, because obviously in person I can explain things much better, you know, with your figures as an example, and also you can see how I apply all those things, how I speak about all those comments in a more fair condition, you know, which is not the videos are good, obviously we try to show everything, and sometimes when the image is not enough to show up these concepts, then it's me who is explaining this. I could be shutting up and hiding so many things, but I don't do that, because I really believe that I should teach the best I can, you know. Check now how, well, this aerial point of view is quite interesting. Check how many different levels of value, brightness, you know, and also saturation we find here. And it was a guy in the previous stream that was asking me if I should like make some red reflections from the red fabric onto the golden ribbon, right? And I said no, because the size of the miniature is not that it doesn't allow, but you know, it's like you are watching someone from a distance of, let's say, 15-20 meters, you know, and then you will not perceive all those tonal variations that maybe if you go closer you can find them, right? But it will be very confusing if you mix them. We can see here that was some reddish tone, you know, in this red ribbon, and that's quite interesting, because at the beginning I left it because I find it interesting. That happens unconsciously, chicos. That happens by itself, you know, by the process it happens. And then I kept it like, well, that might be interesting. Maybe I just will highlight the edge of that, you know. You see that I was checking. So in the middle of the process, I'm constantly checking if something can look right. What was the problem? That to me, the feeling was more that it has a very general reddish influence from a light or something. And the separation of the elements, it was not so clear, you know. So I finally decided to remove that, you know. But you can see from this perspective how I am basically applying some spots of light that all of them go towards the same area, that is focusing to the face. And that's very important, because the face is the most important part of this figure, which at the end, the goal is to tell a story. And what's the story of this? The story is a story of discovering. It's a story of a guy who has discovered the spell that has been searching for years, right? So this moment of madness of, I have found it, you know, has to be conveyed by the face, right? So the face and the hand and maybe the upper part of the chest is what matters. And even more, the secondary element that will play more importance in this role play, it will be not him, it will be the book, right? Because the book is the book of the spells, right? And if you remember, the miniature has a book, right? So the book is also what? Okay, has disappeared. I don't know why. Well, so the book is also important, right? Because it's what has the detail. Let's say there's not so much detail on the figure itself because it's not needed. I thought it was not needed to bring so much, I don't know, filigrees or things like that, you know, only this, right? The rest is more a texture work. But if you check, this is, I have just picked the worst image, but well, you can see that the detail is quite high if you could see it from a good perspective. I don't know if I have closer pics of the book. It was a pity because it was a very good element to show. Well, anyway. Well, let's continue with the yellow ribbon. You see how I slowly build up not only the light, also the definition of the elements, you know, and the drawings, the pattern that is written, you know. And I always, I would say, no waste. I will use all the color I have on the brush. So if I have certain color, certain tones, certain nuance on the brush, I use it everywhere I feel I need it, because this is a way to make a more global interaction of the elements, if that makes sense. Know what I mean? Hey, Doe, what's up, bro? You good? Or what's going on? Duke Risley from Chicago area. Or at least I've seen you in Chicago. How's going on, bro? Paul Stockley, I spent a lot of time looking at image close-up using the color picker. It was very useful and surprising the actual color. Yeah. Well, but also this is not completely trustworthy, because the picker, I mean, it has its own ¿cómo se dice cuando hablas de Instagram que tiene su propio ecuación? ¿Cómo se dice eso? Algoritmo. So let's say that Photoshop has its own algorithm, and what it's showing you is like the final color, but your perception, let's say that your eye is much more clever than the picker of Photoshop, believe me. So what does it mean? That Photoshop images, it flatten the what it captured the camera and then it shows on the screen. It flatten all the information in pixels, and the pixel has to be solid. They're at a specific number that represent a specific color. But when we see something in real, when we see something in our hands, we can perceive the translucency of the layering. We can perceive the amount of pigment. It's much more valuable, this point of view, obviously in hand. That's the reason why when you see, for example, some Kirill Kanaev pieces in a picture, you are like, whoa. When you see it in hand, and you know a little bit about painting, you are also like, whoa, oh my God. But you can see things that are not revealed on the pictures. And that's what happened, you know? And me, that I have the luck to have many of his pieces in hand, judging them or sharing contests with him, or taking them from a common collector cabinet or collection. And I pick his pieces, and I have even look at them in my studio with lamps, and you can perceive the dilution of the different brush strokes and the different tones, and you have much more information. At the end, when you are just deciding or trying to guess how someone has painted something just by the picker, it's not enough information, you know? So you have to, that's why it's important for me to convey the message of it's not only about the color you see, it's not only about the color you perceive, it's also about how you apply this color, you know, this color has been applied. Does it make sense? Well, you see that I'm building up the yellow from the frontal view to the back view. And in this central part that will be like here's like this area, because the main view is this point of view and that is a secondary view, it's important but not that much, right? I will be turning from a very bright and creamy yellow, desaturated, to a tertiary, more saturated yellow that will be here into a brown, right? So I will keep the saturation for the intermediate areas, and now I'm glazing on top. Guys, this is a glaze. That is a glaze. I have a previous work that's already done, and then I glaze on top to vary the tonality, you know? And this resultant color, it will be very luminous because it's on top of something very bright, right? And I am applying a color in a very translucent version. I went to the dentist, he removed me a teeth and it's killing me, literally. I have so much headache right now. So, well, guys, let's move forward. Can you see that there's different levels of saturation here, different than here? And this looks a little bit apart because it's still not merged with the general feeling, you know? Let's say that this is brighter, but not so much. It's just more desaturated, right? So if we take the Photoshop, just to explain, it will be more around here, while the more saturated color, it will be more around here, right? So it's not much brighter, you know, obviously it's slightly more bright, but not so much. But what makes the effect is the contrast of saturation in this case. I'm going to go a little bit faster because I'm not feeling really good, to be fair. And speaking is not helping. So, well, you see that these glazes I am applying, you know, are translucent enough to rescue the light of the volume without losing the details. And now I'm starting to work on the areas that are not visible. And this is very important, guys. This is something that most of you miss all the time when I have to judge the pieces for the private corrections, or when I have to judge the pieces as a jury in a contest, and I see that most of the pieces are very well worked from a very specific zenithal point of view or something like this, but then the rest is not even done. And that's a main point, you know. Well, so it's all about insisting with this cross-hatching technique, this stippling, you know, where light hits, remember that the effect fades out, so the glowing effect will fade out the detail. As you can see in, that was a Thor I painted for 9 models. Come on. I hate Windows. So, very sorry. That's a really good example, if it allows me. Okay. So that was a box art I painted for 9 models like 9 years ago or so. And well, it was a time when non-metallic was not so popular, so not so many people were doing this. And also in a box art it was even more rare, you know, because most of the people will use, for at this time, will use not like true metallics, which is something that we have to work on the Patreon as well. And as you can see, there are different levels of definition in different areas, you know, like for example, there's not the same level of definition of the arm than the leg. The main reason is that the arm has definition by the background that is completely dark. It looks like a complete black, which is painted in black, but probably it was a red black, but obviously the picture will emphasize, will enhance this feeling, and I knew that, so I don't need so much definition here because it's not important, and all the importance will go to the center of the piece, you know, towards the face, towards the chest, especially the chest, that I'm really happy with how it turned out. And then we move to the legs. And then we move to the legs where we can clearly identify the volumes that are underneath the muscles, right? That are underneath. We can see it, and we have this variation of the light that comes from the lateral sides where you have so much shadow, and then it comes to intermediate tones, medium tones, and then there is a big area of light. And this area of light, if you see all this dark lighting that separates the volume, it disappears on the brightest spots, you know. Why? Because this is not deep enough. So please guys, understand that when something is not deep enough and the light is hitting, light will hit also on the hole. So that, what does it mean? That is a glowing effect. This is what Lance Michal Pisarski, one of the great masters of the non-metallic, what he does when he makes these glowing effects, you know. So a glowing effect means no detail, right? And that's why I concentrate the color in specific areas, and in these areas you will not be able to see the runes that are written in the ribbon, right? Matt Minis, no, bro, thank you very much. I appreciate your advice, but we have to finish because otherwise we have to arrive to this point. So we are going good. No worries. Later on, David will give me a massage naked, and that will be enough reward. In some states in the US, I will be in jail for this comment probably. So don't play this comment on certain states. In Texas, probably. I've never been in Texas. I want to go to Texas. Indeed, I'm actually dealing with a guy to make a course in Texas. So if you're interested in a course in Texas, please send us an email because we're searching for students. No. I will teach naked, but with a pair of guns and a cowboy hat. I hope this is not offensive because, you know, I always feel that I offend somebody when I speak anything I say. This is obviously a joke. So if you are from Texas, please don't shoot me. Anyway, so here we need some definition as well. If you check, I am taking enough care to define also the inner part of this fold or this movement of the fabric. That's important because check how much it defines the darker area, right? Let's move on. Some chaos black, all chaos black. That's important also. The central elements in this case are very important because there is a lack of element, there is no filigrees, no detail, no exaggerated texture. So it's really, really important to separate different elements. So by now and then, you have to define, you have to define well the elements, and probably you will ruin this afterwards, but believe me, don't wait until the end to define the dark lines, because you need them in the in-between process to start seeing something finished, right? Paul Stockley, if you go to Houston in summer, you need to be naked. It's 40 degrees and 100% humidity. So that's fantastic because then I will never be in Houston in summer, you know, because I hate this. Indeed, I was in Washington last year, and I had to bring like a towel with me to see the different I don't know, the monuments, because it was so humid and so hot that after literally 5 minutes walking through the street, I was completely wet, you know. Indeed, I won a contest of wet t-shirts, you know. Well, indeed, a police officer from the White House insulted me because of this. It was a weird story. One day I will tell you this story. He called me fat. Well, he was right, I'm fat, so. But he was not very polite. It's not polite to tell someone who is fat that is fat. Anyway. But I will be fit next year and he will know that. So, Dark lining is very important. You see that I take, by now and then, instead of focusing on, let's say, the left arm or his right arm, instead of doing this, I'm concentrating always all my effort in defining the elements that are crucial for the main view, and then the rest I will see what to do. But it's not something important now, you know. The important thing is this right now, because I need to start seeing some elements nearly finished, you know. However, it's not blended, as you can see. If you see that, please stop the image. Well, I stop the image for you. Do you see? This is not clean. The effect, the part of the effect, guys, look at me. Okay, look to my eyes. You don't have to blend everything. Okay, is this clear? I'm close enough. You don't have to blend everything. If you blend everything, you ruin the effect. There is no effect. Please check all the effects that you see, all the glittering effects, all the non-metallics, plastic, whatever. You know, not everything is blend. Not everything is merged. So sometimes you have to leave the brushstroke, because the brushstroke is what will create the effect of something. If you blend everything, you ruin the picture. You are not a better painter, you are a worse painter. Is that clear, guys? Is this clear? Not anymore, because I'm very ugly, I know that. This will be frightening. So, definition. Let's move to the next one. Last one for today. Check how well defined is at this stage, even if all the elements are not, there is not a full clean gradient anywhere, but it's defined. It's enough defined. It has enough levels of definition and types of definition. Texture, no textures, contrast of temperature. Let's say green and red are cold, while yellow is slightly warm. You know, contrast of brightness and darkness, contrast of complementary tones, green and reds. You know, many different contrasts. Let's see for what I use the. I'm returning again basically to the ribbon, I guess. What is this? Oh, let's go to the scroll. Well, first thing to know about this is how I do the base coat. The base coat, la capa base, is what it is. You know, it's a more solid layer of color. You know, with a, let's say, 50% dilution, maybe less, that has high coverage. And in this case, I am applying it not regularly, right? Why? Because I want to do a very old scroll, so I want to convey this message from the very first layers. And that's the reason why I apply the paint like somehow very loose. It's fantastic because I have a lot of paint in my mouth and people are drinking beer. Thank you, guys. Anyway, I cannot drink beer because I'm taking some antibiotics. So you see how I apply the paint, more loose. And now I'm going to start stippling or doing a cross-hatching brush stroke with some kind of off-white. It's a creamy tertiary tone, you know, even in the undistinguishable, if I can say that, not distinguishable. And I am applying it to rescue some of the shapes, you know, some of those little wrinkles. And then I will focus on this main area that is in the center to separate these two elements. This is the separation of the folded or wrapped scroll. And this is where I really need the light, you know, just in the center, as you can see. And that brings a lot of definition. You see? Here, I feel you got, oh, there. These extra points of light is what brings extreme definition. Is this realistic? No, it's a little bit exaggerated. I must admit that my painting is always exaggerated. Probably Someone like Kirill will resolve this with a lower value, you know, and probably with a tonal variation instead of bringing the color up. His way is more accurate than mine. My way is just to highlight something without thinking too much in that moment. Also, my level of knowledge 9 years ago, like this, or 10 years ago, was significantly less. So nowadays, I would probably do it in a different way. Well, that's all for today, I guess. If there's nothing interesting, well, the bag is exactly the same thing. I changed the color because at the beginning it was, if you remember, it was greenish, and then I changed the color. So guys, lose your fears. There's nothing that you cannot replace. There's nothing that you cannot change. It's a matter of time. That's it. And by time to time, you see that I click the light on or off. This is to check how it looks like with different light environments. That's something that you can check as well for your own figures. And well, I'm going to make a round of questions because this is all I want to say for today. And also because my pain is killing me. My beautiful arm. This part, it will be bluish. I want to tell about this. This part is bluish, which it harmonizes well with the red and with the green because both of them has a lot of blue. But it's a different kind of blue, and I'm gonna make a wet blending technique. As you see, you see this spark that varies. This is not because it's painted, that one. This is because it's humid. Humid or wet? Which one? Guys, help me.
Wet.
Wet is wet, right? And then I apply this next layer of color in a thicker version, so it's almost like a paste color, something more creamy. And because the base is wet, then it will be super easy to put the color on it, and then by a rubbing brush stroke, just mix it. Super easy. Wet blending is easy, really easy. Especially in these small surfaces, especially if it's rounded. If it's rounded, it's super easy, the easiest. And that's why I change my kind of brush stroke and my dilution depending on the element as well, right? And this color was, and the explanation of this was here. Most of you here, do you see come on. Okay. So do you see this? Okay, this is the typical progression that most of you do from this dark blue, and then you add white or gray or then you say, no, Alfonso, I don't use white, I use Space Wolf Gray. Space Wolf Gray. So this is white, because Space Wolf Gray is very gray, and because it's very gray, it has white. So anything that is desaturated by white is like using white. Not same effect, but almost, right? So if you do this progression, it's less colorful, less interesting, and less vibrant than if you do this progression. So my suggestion is, can you do this and then check the color square, move up and add some clear gray like Space Wolf Gray or Shadow Gray or something like this, and then finish like this? Yes. Is this right? Yes. Can you do that? Yes. Will you be punished at jail? No. Will you be killed by somebody because you paint like this? No. But you can also do this. Saturated color, even more saturated color, and then gray if you want, or white, as I have done this. So I keep saturation on the mid-tones, and that makes something more interesting, and you bring more feeling of volume, right? So I hope this is understandable. I hope that this has been useful. I hope that you give us some love and support, some comments on the comment box when this will be uploaded. Just remember that it takes some time, so it will be uploaded, and probably we will share this on Patreon like always. So, so please make us a favor, come back, make some comments, tell us, I don't know, how much you suffer with me because of my pain in my teeth, because, I mean, I don't know, how much you love me, how much you hate me, if you find this interesting, if you don't find this interesting, if there is a kind of content that you want to watch it developed in a series of videos or in a longer video. All those comments are super helpful, seriously. We don't have a lot of communication with the English people, unfortunately. I really don't know why. I'm trying to push my English skills. I'm trying to make my communication better. So I'm doing a big effort. I promise you, David is doing the same effort as well. And for us, just to dub all the videos and to make this double in a language that is not ours, it's very it's difficult, right? So if you can support us, thank you very much. If you can share, you know, with your friends, that will be super helpful. Some comments on social media always help us. Sorry if I look like I'm begging for something. You know, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if you do it, you help us a lot, and then you go to heaven, and then everybody is more happy. You know. So, well, this is the only thing I can ask for. Thank you very much for being with us another time in this stream, not streaming, stream. Thank you, Eric. And well, hope to see you. The we wet blend, not humid blend. Yeah. I forget about that. You know, I don't know. How is your Spanish, bro? We will take this in Monte. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. It's a pleasure to do a stream for you. It's a pleasure to teach you, and hope that you're enjoying the Patreon content. There are many things that are coming that are fantastic. The Great Marmas Clans is coming this month to bring you a fantastic video. I am recording something special that I'm preparing for Monte San Sabino that you will be in shock, because it's a fantastic project sculpted by the master Joaquin Palacios. And well, I hope to see you in the next stream of the Invocatio, because I think it's a very useful process where I have many different thoughts that comes to my brain that can be explained. And I don't know, I like this interaction with you guys. So the more you ask, the better the video will be. Thank you very much, and see you in the next videos. Bye bye. And check the sculpting videos, they're fantastic, and you can learn how to make your own weapons. Don't you feel this is fantastic? You know, your own milleput weapon that you can whatever with somebody else. Bye bye, guys. Cheers.